Hello everyone, and welcome to Jaime's Haberdashery presents Dapper Drinks, the show where I, your host, Dyson Heschke, make for you traditional cocktail recipes. I'll tell you a little bit about the cocktail, and I'll be making my own version of the cocktail at the end of the show. Today's cocktail is going to be a classic, my favorite clear cocktail of all, the gin and tonic. So for the gin and tonic, pretty easy drink. It's a summertime, springtime drink, but I say drink whatever you want, whenever you want. So to start off, we're going to be using Tanqueray, my favorite London dry gin. So today's recipe, traditional recipe that is going to call for 2 shots worth, 3 ounces. And now remember, for this beverage, London dry gin. Don't get a Plymouth gin, don't get an Old Tom gin, London dry. If it says it on the label, then you're good. Now this recipe, kind of like last week's, is going to be a little different from how you might think it should be. We're going to be using lemon. Now in the second recipe, I'm going to be using lime. A lot of people use lime these days, and it's honestly my preferred citrus for this beverage. But we are going to get 2 thin slices. We're going to just juice them in there and then drop them in. And now for this recipe, I'm also going to have a link in the description so that you can follow along as well at home or do it whenever you want. Secondly, we're going to be putting in our ice. We're not going to be breaking anything today, just solid cubes of ice. Now, the recipe called for, I kid you not, 3 to 4 whole cubes of ice. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do 1. Make it simple. There we go. And then we're going to top it off with tonic water. Any tonic water will do. As long as it has quinine in it, that is what you want. And just top off the glass with it. And you can always serve it with straws or just like this. Let's have a sip. Good. I'm going to stir it a tiny amount. Not that it needs much. It's not a whole lot that needs to be mixed in here. All right, now let's take a sip. That is refreshing. Now, honestly, lemon is just a fine citrus as it is lime. You get the same kind of thing from it. That nice quinine infusion with the citrus. It's nice and refreshing, and you just gotta love the gin. The origination of the gin and tonic actually goes in line with the origination of gin and tonic. Crazy idea. Gin, coming from the Dutch in the 1500s, 16th century, and it was essentially just a grain spirit along with a heavy juniper flavoring induced in it with water. Really simple. And then later in the 1800s, it became more well known for the English, I forget which king it was, but as soon as he took power, he made it a staple for England, and hence you get London dry gin. Now the invention of tonic water is actually kind of funny. Quinine, that's within tonic water, it's just water, sugar, and quinine, is actually used for the cure malaria. That was the intent, and essentially a lot of people said, hey, it's a great medicine, but we want it to taste good. So put it in with alcohol and tastes great. So let's move on to my own version of the gin and tonic. All right, so my version of the gin and tonic isn't really my own. Those of you who like James Bond, the author, Ian Fleming, and by the way, we're just going to cut up one whole lime. The author, Ian Fleming, in his book Dr. No, wrote the way that James Bond likes his gin and tonics, which, and I'm not kidding, one whole lime, a double of Tanqueray, which we'll do, so 2 jiggers worth, or shots, so double of that. We are then going to juice, just by hand, both of these halves of the lime. This is a pretty firm one too. I should have got a more supple one for this example, but that's all right. Drop them in the glass. And then we're going to add our ice. Again, 1 cube of ice, that's usually how I do it. And then we're going to top it off with tonic. And again, you can always serve this with straws or plain, like this. And enjoy. I love it so much. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of sweet cocktails, but this one I will pick up any day of the week. And again, it's a summer, springtime cocktail, but I think you can drink anything you want whenever. So to compare the two, they're pretty similar. Honestly, it's just the preference of lemon or lime. Either way, it'll do the job. But that just goes to show that sometimes things can be very simple and yet very effective and enjoyable. See us next week for our another gin cocktail, the Negroni. Cheers.
Everything a little gal should be. Oh, how he raved, how he behaved. Just a little love sick I can see.